In this video today, I'll show you how I used my Creality Ferret Pro 3D scanner to scan this particular figurine so that I could print it out on my 3D printer. And so let's begin. All right, we're going to create a new project. So this is going to be a normal object. It's medium in size. We're going to track it using geometry. We're going to do high quality, and we are going to exclude the flat base. So I will set it to preview. And I've got my camera on a little tripod. And we're going to start just kind of at a lowish setting. I'm going to go ahead and click on Start. And I'm going to start my turntable rotating slowly. And when it loses tracking, I'll back it up. And you can see in the little camera screen how I am positioning the scanner. So now I'm positioning it lower down. Okay, now I am going to pause the scan so I can carefully tilt this on its side. Then resume. This way we can get the bottom. Then I'm going to pause it again. This time I will carefully lay it on its front and then pause it again. And now I've set it back up again, right side up, and I'll continue scanning it. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and finish this. And now it's time to clean up. And I'm going to use the rectangle and the lasso tool to help clean up. And so by holding down the Shift key, you can click and drag either a rectangle or a lasso around the areas that you're going to want to delete from your scan. And then don't forget to hit the check mark to save your edits. And then we'll go ahead and fuse it. I'm going to reduce the noise removal to maybe about 13 to 15%, and then I'm going to click Apply. All right, let's take a look at it. Looks like there are a few things we need to clean up. And just as I had feared, it just does not do the back of these very well. It just can't get underneath there for some reason. So let me get rid of the rest of this junk. So it doesn't do well with the really small flowers, but for the most part, I'd say it did pretty good. So let's go ahead and export this. Oops. Oh, I forgot to save. The thing I've been stressing all along, don't forget to hit the check mark. So we got to do this all over again. Remember to save it. Now we'll export it. Now, final thoughts on the Creality scan part. I tried to get a good scan of this behind scene. I guess I could go in here and manually try and delete this, but I don't know what kind of a mess that would make. But we could try. Let's maybe come in here with our lasso tool and just come up like this and just see what happens when we delete that. Yeah, see, all that's going to do is make a hole, which it's going to have a hard time filling because that lasso tool went all the way to the front, as you can see. So we want to undo what we just did. So I'm not really sure how to improve this part because in the original, I mean, these dogs, I mean, they don't have all this gunk there. But we'll see how this prints. Okay, now I've got Fusion 360 open. I'm going to click on the Mesh tab. We're going to come to Create. We're going to insert a mesh. I'm going to select from my computer, and we are going to go to the file we just saved from Creality Scan. Now, when you've got the Insert Mesh dialog box here open, be careful that you never hit Enter on your keyboard or you lose this. And I'm not sure how to get the equivalent movements back, so just remember, don't hit Enter on the keyboard. So I'm going to hit Center to center this onto the work plane, and now I'm going to use the rotation tools to try and get this straight. So we'll start just by playing around with this. I'm going to come to a front view here so that I can see what we need to do. Okay, now this, we don't have fine enough control from these, so we can come to the numerical inputs. And let's try 3. And remember, don't hit Enter, just type in the number. So let's see, 3.5. Let's try 2.5. Okay, that looks good. And now let's, okay, this one we need to rotate this way a little bit. And let's try 2. Actually, it's this one up here. Let's try 2.5 for the X. Okay, that looks good. Okay, this one needs to go this way a little bit. So let's try -1 for the Z. And that looks pretty good. All right, this may be just a tad. So let's try 0.5. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to center it again, make sure it's centered, and I'm going to move to ground. So now we can come to the front view, And we can see, let's maybe zoom in a little bit to see how we are, because this is the bottom right there. And that looks like it probably is okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now we're going to want to flatten this bottom. And so we're going to come up to Modify, and we are going to do a plane cut. We need to select our object. Next, we're going to select the cut plane. So I'm going to select the bottom pane right here. I'm using the right mouse button to rotate my view up and down like this. All right, then I'm going to take this arrow, pull it up. Of course, that is way too much. Let's look at the front view again. So instead of 10 millimeters, let's try 2. That's not quite enough. Let's try 3. And that looks pretty good. Now, one thing I could tell, if we come back to 2, and we look at the front view, we can see we were not really quite flat. Let's go ahead and click OK on this. But we were probably good enough. Let's go back to plane cut, select our object, bottom, and if we lift that up, just so that we can basically see where we need to type in our number. And I'm going to look at the front view again so that we have a nice view. And let's go with 1, not quite enough. 2, not enough. Let's go with 3, maybe 3.1, maybe 3.5. Okay, and so we can see maybe that's not even enough, and we can see that it really does need to be rotated this way just a little. I don't know how to get, okay, the Z angle. Let's try 1 degree. Let's try 0.5 degrees. Let's try 0.6. Let's 4, 5, 4. 0.35, 0.3, 0.25. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to get this bottom level here so that it looks even. Let's try 0.2, 1. Okay, that's probably as close as we're going to get it. And so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So I just discovered you can actually rotate in the plane cut also. Now this has put some holes in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to bodies, and you notice we have an error message here, so I'm going to click on that. We are going to close holes and click OK. Okay, and so now it has closed up those holes on the bottom. All right, now my item is almost ready to export, but I would like to get it on the ground plane here at the 0 line. So I am going to click on this. I'm going to click on Move. I am going to click Point to Position. And the point that I want to select, I am just going to select the bottom box right here, just the bottom corner of the box. And the position Z, I'm going to set to 0. And so now when we do the front view and we zoom out, we are now on that 0 line. So now we are ready to export. So I'm going to come up here to File and Export. We want to export it as an STL file. And export. All right, I have Bamboo Studio open, and I have a project where I've been putting all of my scanned Yadro pieces. And so I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to add a plate. Then I'm going to come up to File, Import, and we're going to import an STL file. And this is the file we just saved in Fusion 360. Now it will come in full size like this. I'm going to want to print it smaller, so I'm going to scale it down, and we'll maybe do it down to 50%. And we'll see how that does. Maybe 60%, just a little bit bigger. And we have enabled supports. So let's go ahead and slice the plate. Okay, I'm going to change this to line type so that we can see the different types of filament. Right here, the green is going to be the supports, so this is where it's adding supports. And so I want to minimize the number of supports that are not on the base. So there's one right here and one right here. I'm going to want to change that so that on build plate only. And we'll see how that looks. Because I don't want to have too many supports on the model itself where it's based on the model. They might be a little more difficult to see and remove. And so now we've got these. So the only problem is there will maybe be a couple of issues in here, but we'll see how it goes. Now I want to make sure that I'm using the filament that I want. I have a tri-silk PLA that I'm going to be using, and so I did slice with that, so that's the one we're going to use. And so we'll go ahead and print this. I'm going to go ahead and record a time lapse, and we'll send. And when it finishes printing, we'll be back. And here is the final result, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!